And they were wondering why Donald Trump didn't get off the stage sooner. Would you like to comment?
As far as okay, so after he was shot, well, because Secret Service, after they were protecting him, were determining, whether there was another shooter or other shooters, plural, and they had to wait to hear from the other Secret Service or in the audience or whatever before they could move him, because you don't want to move him immediately after the shot. I mean, you do, but in that situation, there could have been another shooter someplace else, and so they were taking precautions. That's what I think anyway. But they did get him out of there relatively quickly. They botched a lot of it up because people were yelling gun and trying to tell the Secret Service as far as where he's at. And then the Secret Service that was on the roof of the one building that was, adjacent from where the shooter was at. It seemed like they delayed in taking the shooter out. And they there.
Did they shoot?
That was on.
Did they shoot him on the roof and leave him up there a while?
That's what's being reported on Twitter. I don't know, but they did go check to see if he was down, if he was dead. So I don't know.
What do you think of the whole thing? Before I have to call Bianchi and let him in because we have a problem with our phone calls with him.
Oh.
I do on my AT&T, not in general. So what do you think? What do you think is going to come out of this, and what do you think of the action itself?
I think that the action itself is, disgusting, and I think that the Secret Service, I don't know how they or who basically dropped the ball on that, because watching it in slow motion as far as one number down, you see the Secret Service move, and it was like they were bumbling around trying to get him into the car. Nobody knew what they were doing. It was just a ridiculous scene altogether, and so I'm wondering what's going on with them. And we know Secret Service or CIA and intelligence agency, they don't like Trump, and, basically he doesn't like them as well.
Are you kidding?
No, actually, I'm not. I mean, when they were actually, listening to his phone calls and also arresting people in the Trump campaign in 2016, creating that whole Russia hoax when they knew, it wasn't Russia that interfered with the 2016 election, except for those ads that they had put out that were nothing because they were only shown in certain states and they were proven not to affect the election itself. But they kept trying to tie Trump to Russia and saying,
well, since he's a former president, they have to protect him.
Sure, that's what they attempted to do, but don't you think a former president, as far as them looking out, they sweep the area. The shooter was out of their perimeter, apparently, but the two Secret Service that were on the roof, they were both aimed at the same way. Usually they have to have like a 360 view. So one should have been, facing the other way or facing the crowd, but they were both facing the same way. They had the binoculars, and they didn't see him. The people on the ground saw the shooter first before.
There was one guy was interviewed. He saw him first.
And then other people started identifying. Then the crowd was yelling, gun, he's got a gun, he's on the roof.
John's calling in. Just a second. Okay? John? Okay, Suzette, can you hear me?
Yes.
John, you're on the conference call. Could you talk? Okay, keep going, Suzette. I'll text him.
That was pretty much it. It was just a very poor display. And why, of all places, he's been to a lot of rallies. He's had a lot of rallies. And so this one here where he was completely open, it just seemed a little odd that there weren't more they were spread out, Secret Service, that is. And when they had brought him down to the car, to the beast, you had people literally just bumping into each other, the Secret Service. And then it was a while before they left. I'm not talking a long while, I'm talking, minutes, but minutes are pretty crucial if he was under attack.
Right, and
so
the fact that the kid was really, I thought that building was pretty far away, and I thought the kid was a pretty good shooter. A lot of people were complaining about him, but he got pretty close.
Yeah, he did. And it's a shame that there were victims, that the one that had died, the others that got injured, because they wanted to take the president out. So, I mean, good grief. There's very little talk about the victims as far as other than there was one that was that died and one that was injured, or two injured and one died. And I mean, that's kind of crucial. And I'm seeing the media start to turn that around on Trump as far as, well, it's his fault because of his rhetoric. He brought this on himself. And I was thinking, are you kidding me?
I know, like that one dad who was in his 50s. I guess he tried to protect his kids and he died. And people, even my friend in Florida, criticized him. She said that he shouldn't have been on the stage with his kids. But
really?
Yeah, she said he shouldn't have brought his kids to or something like that.
It was a rally.
I know.
That's wow. That's crazy.
I heard Marjorie Greene stated that it was the Democrats' fault, but I don't. There was so much stuff on Instagram last night. Over 50% of anti-Trumpers said it was a staged event. Some people were saying stuff like Melania hired a low-grade assassin. A lot of it was jokes. John, you're on the air. If you're working, you got to acknowledge us at least, John. Okay.
I'm just listening. That's all.
Okay.
There's a lot of people
thank
on
you.
TikTok too, real quick, that were saying, yelling and screaming that they missed. How could they have missed? They should have had a better person to shoot him so he wouldn't be here. Or half of our problems would be gone if they would have got him, and they were upset that President Trump was not killed. And it was odd, it was bizarre, it was twisted, it was sick for these people to be so angry that the shooter missed.
There was two millennials on TikTok. One of them was crying in her car because the shooter missed. And another one held a sign outside of the hospital that Trump got evaluated in and said something like, "Thank you, Donald Trump. I hope you have the most miserable, slowest recovery ever. And I hope you suffer." And she held a cardboard sign up. And she was between 20 and 30 years old.
Oh, my gosh. People, Trump supporters anyway, they want Biden out of office, but nobody wants him dead. For these millennials or whoever they are on TikTok, crying and upset that they missed, that just goes to show how sick our society is right now. For somebody to be that upset over a man they don't even know.
Yeah, like when John F. Kennedy died, like there were Protestants that hated him, but when he died, the whole country got together and wept. There was never any disrespect.
Right. There shouldn't have been. I don't know. Anyway, I'll let you get to John.
Okay, John, you are on the air, but the thing is you're on my conference call, and I'm not going to yell at you, but you're going to have to say something. I know you're probably at work, but it is a Sunday night because I got to call Bianchi in a few minutes and factor him in here. So could you at least share a few words about your how you reacted to this event?
Oh, actually, I have no comments, so that's okay. I'll disengage. That's fine.
Okay, well, you're welcome to be on the show. Okay, I'm gonna call Bianchi now. Okay, just a minute. Whatever I said to him a few weeks ago, it must have been a bad thing. Because Suzette, this is my phone. Just a minute, okay? You're on hold.
Hello.
Bianchi, can you join us for a while?
Where y'all at?
Okay, I'm gonna merge. You're on the air with Suzette.
Now?
Yeah, you're on the air with me and Suzette. We're on the
I don't have no shoes on.
What?
Bianchi?
What?
Hello.
Hi, Bianchi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Guess what? I just paid for Blog Talk Radio and it was down again. So I'm gonna kind of ask for a full refund.
Yeah, they got problems.
So I just want to know. I know you sent us a couple of videos today, and there was some commotion in Nashville, Tennessee. What's your take on what's going to happen to the country in light of this attempted shooting?
Well, we have to wait and see.
Well, do you think the radical fringes are going to be upset, or do you think it's going to go smooth at the RNC in Milwaukee?
I don't know. But I know one thing, the cop that had the shooter in his scope for 3 minutes and somebody told him to stand down before he shot, that person needs to be fired and investigated, whoever his commander was.
I heard there was a local police officer who was told where the shooter was, and he was crawling up to the roof, and then he jumped down because he was too scared. Is that who it was?
No, it was somebody who was standing off on another elevated platform where he could view this person in the scope. But no, these people are very incompetent. There should have been drones there being utilized to scope out the roof. An individual got killed. Probably two of them, and one deadly injured because of this.
Yeah, Suzette said that the two people who were on the roof, they were facing the same direction. And they didn't see the guy at first.
Well, they had to see him because he shot him in the head, right?
Well, they didn't see him until it was already in motion. Some of the
He seen him for 3 minutes.
Well, some of the spectators saw the shooter, but not the higher up agency people.
They ignored it, which is, I mean, they had their scopes up there, the Secret Service, so there's no way that they could have missed that guy. I mean, as far as seeing, if they're looking out, because he wasn't that far as far as from where the Secret Service was, and it's like, what's going on? I was exaggerating when I said apparently they didn't see the guy.
What side of the head did he get shot in? Left or right?
The right.
He got shot at the right?
Yep.
Well, then the Secret Service was off to his right side, which would have been at a right angle to the platform where Trump was. So he could have killed him. But he had to get okay in order to initiate the shot, which is that's where the problem lies. If anybody's up on a roof with a gun, they're not up there sunbathing.
Right. Exactly.
So
I'm thinking, my thought was that after seeing it, replaying it in slow motion, I was thinking, okay, so this guy had plenty enough time to take the president out, as far as in the forehead, because Trump was facing that way towards him, the shooter, going over the stats for immigration and to everybody in the crowd and stuff. So he's looking that way, and he's pointing to the billboard and talking about his numbers being low and this and that. So the shooter had plenty of time. If he wanted to kill the president, they could have shot him, right in the forehead, just dead, done. But he waits. He waits and he waits and he waits, and it's like, okay, so then he finally shoots because he's hearing somebody go, he's got a gun, and so I think he panicked when he had to shoot. But this guy was on the roof. How did he get up there? He has a scope. He's laying down. He's been aiming. And I think he did it as a warning. Now, I think these all people watch way too many movies to the fact of when people hear a gunshot, they start panicking in the movies and bumping into, scaring, running, all this chaos. And I'm thinking that they expected the Trump supporters to get so angry that they're going to start burning and looting, and so the media could, as far as look at these animals, how they behave, and that's their leader, Trump, and this and that, and turn it all on him and the Trump supporters, because there were 4 people in the crowd, in different areas of the crowd. You watch the video and listen. There's 1 woman and like 3 men, and they'll yell intermittently as far as "fuck you, media." And they were saying that, and there was one guy right in front of the media that was there trying to get 8 people on to join him. One lady did, as far as just agreed with him and said something to the media as far as F you, and then continued on. She didn't continue anymore. But this guy would say that, and he'd look back over his shoulder to the guy or the girl next to him, like, come on, join me. Let's get these media guys. But nobody was biting them. And so they kind of just ended up disappearing. But yes, there was one in the bleachers to the right of Trump. There was another lady in the crowd. There was a man in the crowd, an older man with a Trump hat. It just seemed like they were planted there in order to get people riled up. But people were just in shock,
Well, that's probably possible also. What I'm saying is that the sniper had the man in his scope. As soon as he beat it down on him, he should have shot him. Why are you waiting for directions from somebody on the other end of the radio that's not probably even there?
Yeah,
that's where your corruption comes. If he's under the guidance of Merrick Garland, the head of the DOJ, I don't trust them no more than I would throwing an elephant across the street.
Yeah.
So no, it's just too much corruption that's going on in this swamp.
Well, it was a hot day in July, and there probably wasn't that much security at the venue to begin with. Do you think?
Well, they should have had security.
Well, I think they said they had someone checking through purses, but in the summer,
They should have had gates to get in there, and the people should have had to pass through.
I don't know, but I do know that the guy who did do the shooting was local, and he's the one who found that place to lay on that roof, and he had an inkling on what to do. He wasn't a stranger.
Well, one of the spectators that I put in your text, he's sitting there. I think he's a red-haired guy. He said he seen a man crawling up the wall and get up on the roof.
Yeah, I watched that interview at work last night in the middle of the night. That guy said he was pointing to the shooter for over 3 or 4 minutes before the Secret Service did anything.
That's what I'm talking about. But the most important thing is that the Secret Service, well, I think it was a police officer, a sniper, he reported that he had the suspect in his scope for 3 minutes before he got the order to shoot. And this is totally unacceptable.
Well, do you think it was a multi-agency error or just lack of communication?
No, it was nothing about no lack of communication.
Well, if the guy would have lived, he would have been able to tell us why he did it.
Why didn't you go to his apartment and see if he left a manifesto? Or any writings on the wall? But no, the sniper should have shot him. Should have took him out.
Mm-hmm.
Or a headshot.
Yeah.
He didn't shot him in the head, blew his brains out. Should have done that before he even started shooting at Donald Trump. And that whatever person that was in the grandstand would have been alive today, probably.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, they wouldn't have been killed by a bullet because the guy would have been taken out. I mean, all these little things, when you put it together and you start watching the video, and it's remarkable that what had happened and he didn't get killed. So that's what puzzles me. Not that I wanted Trump dead. I'm just saying the amount of time the shooter had because his Secret Service was not reacting makes you wonder, why didn't he take him out?
Yeah, then you got the left. The left is condoning a lot of this stuff that we see. They claim that the right is doing. No. You start with Maxine Waters. What did she tell her group she was talking to? They go out and you see them in the public, get up in their face, and do all kind of stuff like that. Then you got listening to these talk hosts on these shows like Whoopi Goldberg and her crew. You got that other woman, I can't think of her name, Joy Reid, the stuff they say. Then you got Biden saying we need to put Trump in the crosshairs at one of his rallies. All that stuff acts to create violence. Donald Trump on January 6th said no such thing about an insurrection to overthrow his own damn government.
Yeah.
Now they're getting desperate. They're getting desperate.
I'm
trying to keep him off the ballot. They come up with all these fictitious lawsuits. They go out and find these skate of women. They're accused that he tried to rape them 40 years ago and all that craziness. They tried to bankrupt his businesses. They tried to bankrupt him. Tried to keep him from going to his son's graduation. They raided Mar-a-Lago, and the Justice DOJ told the FBI to be prepared to use violence, deadly force against the Secret Service. So they're getting desperate.
People will, Bianchi, people will be angry at you for blaming the Democrats. I mean,
well, you don't know who it is, but when the opportunity comes to shade the camera on one side or the other, that's what they say. You can't say Maxine.
Just a minute, you guys. I had to get Don in the show. Okay, Bianchi, repeat your last sentence. Don is on the air now, and I had to put you on hold for a sec. Go ahead, Bianchi.
I said that nothing happened to him. The stuff you hear that's condoning the violence is coming out of that camp. It's coming from the left, from Wolf, whatever his name is, with CNN. It's been going on since 2016 with him.
Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah.
I do think that Trump was railroaded with E. Jean Carroll. A lot of his other stuff, they just inflated. Can I double check to see if Don can hear us? Don, can you hear us? Speak.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Say something.
Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm in beautiful downtown Las Vegas. Actually, I'm at the Mandalay Bay. And we've been here for 4 days now. And we've got another 4 days of our convention, NAACP National. So we're kind of co-hosts. And my wife has now been sworn in as one of the national board members. So she is kind of a big deal.
Get out. Get out. I'm jealous.
Suzette, do you wish you were in the NAACP? Suzette?
I wish I was in Vegas.
It's 115 degrees.
It was 110 degrees.
Oh, no, stay in the hotels.
Well, that's all right. We're here. I'll just show for right now, and then when I have a chance, I'll jump in.
So,
congratulations for your wife and her new position there, and she both. Yes, do a lot of good work. Good on you guys.
Yeah, we've been pretty much this is our 13th convention, so we're entrenched for pretty much in the organization. And one of the things that we're going to do is make sure the West Coast is represented much better because we feel that national, I won't say north is the best paying much into the West Coast. That's shit.
So Don,
That and reparations.
Don, why don't you put your 2 cents in? So, because me and Bianchi and Suzette were pretty focused. Put in your 2 cents about Trump getting shot. Don?
Are you talking to John or Don?
Don, D-O-N. There's no John.
Okay, well, I'm here. What's up?
So what do you think about the Trump shooting, and why do you think they were slow to reacting?
Well, first of all, that was a conservative thing. I don't know what they said about the gentleman, young 20-year-old, who was with his family and did this. So, something that shows you what America is about. It's basically violence first, and then education and everything else second. There is no such thing as civility as long as there is a race that wants to be superior, and that race is very obvious to everyone. So we've got to change the paradigm or look at civil war, and either way, African Americans, we always win. When we fight, we win. That's just the known. It's a reality. Maybe that's only if you wait for the whipped cream. But some of us don't wait. Okay. No. Look at check it out. We got whipped cream over there. We got so much whipped cream. Matter of fact, we need new cow.
Okay, Don, why don't you call back another night? Because your call's too noisy.
No. I'm with some of the biggest people in the country. So, and of course, Tuesday we're meeting with Biden. So we'll see how he fares then. But there's, we're in a very critical phase that we all know, we understand. So I'll put you on hold, and then we'll be able to talk to you in a minute. Okay?
Yeah, just put yourself on hold because there's tons of background noise. So, you guys, we don't have to stay on the air too long tonight because it's 82 degrees in my apartment and I'm melting.
That organization is another problem.
What is?
I say that organization is another problem.
Could you explain your point of view, please? Oh, the NAACP.
See, what they need to do is identify, when they say we, or they say, well, they should identify the people who subscribe to them. That's not the feeling of all blacks. I don't feel that way. I have no desire for no notion of reparations. So they need to cut that stuff out.
Yeah. And that's what Don and I disagree on as far as their support of that. But I wanted to know what happened to the body of the shooter. My husband just brought up a good point. When they reported the initial shooting and the Secret Service gave a public statement on it, they said that they didn't have any identification on the person, and they were working tirelessly to find out who this person was, as though the person had gotten away. But we know that the person was shot, and they said that he was shot and killed. So why would they be having to work so tirelessly to find this guy when they had him, they killed him, they had his fingerprints, they have his photo, with their databases? It should have been done in seconds, number one. Number two, they held back. A lot of times, if they don't want to give out the name because they haven't notified the family yet, they'll describe the shooter as far as he was a male, he was white, this about this many pounds, about this height, whatever, and that's about it. Just a basic description, and nothing more, until they have a name. And so I thought that was very odd that they wouldn't even give any attributes whatsoever about this person. I don't believe they have spoken to that at all. Still, I think they're still investigating people. There are people on Facebook.
Don, mute yourself.
They don't know if he was white. How do they know he was white? How did he self-identify?
Well, she means give a general description. It was it was at least 3 to 5 hours before they gave any description.
Yeah, I know. That man may be literally white like you. He may identify as black.
So we're going to go into this saying that he's a man identifying as a woman.
It might be a male, biological male identifying as a woman. You had an incident where a waiter sued a person because they called him a male and he identified as a woman.
Well, they said he was a card-carrying Republican, but recently donated to the Democrats in the last 3 years.
Well, if he's 20 years old, I doubt very seriously if that stands and holds any water.
Well, he's dead now and we can't talk to him.
But it still don't take the responsibility of the actions that went down. And that's another reason why I tell Americans they need to carry their weapons. Hell, he's going up the side of a building with a rifle in an event like that. If I had my weapon, I would have shot it if I was there.
They won't let people with guns and rifles into a Trump rally. Are you kidding me?
Well, how did he get in there with a rifle?
Because he knew the name.
Outer perimeter of their security check. They have a perimeter that they sweep, and apparently he was outside the perimeter of their security. So that's what's, why he was able to do that, as far as nobody had seen him or they didn't bother to check the roofs before Trump actually walked out. That was an excuse. It was an excuse, is what I'm saying. Is they said he was outside the perimeter and under a safety check or whatever.
They should contract with a local organization to have armed personnel there to guard that rally. At each row, there should be a person on either end of the row watching the people that's sitting there in their seats between them.
I was at a Mike Pence rally down by the shipping docks in Duluth, and there was Superior Wisconsin police on the roof. There was a lot of people. You could tell they were Secret Service. They were on at every single angle. There was not one place where anyone could have snuck through or done something, non-normal. And then I also went to a Trump rally at the deck, but I didn't get in. There were too many people, and that had a lot of security too.
They need to have military snipers, not local police. I don't trust local police. They need to have military snipers positioned in strategic location just for like the incident that we have. Lead the police to directing traffic. Hell, you see enough videos on YouTube to see how clumsy they are, and they don't have no means of checking to see who they're hiring that's suitable.
So do you think that Trump is going to have smaller rallies now? Like, is he going to change his tune and replan his campaign out?
I don't see why he needs to have a smaller rally. Will come out. But there's ways to protect them.
Well, let's do the what if question. What if he would have died last night? Then what?
It'd been a whole different conversation.
People would still be in shock. They wouldn't know who the RNC candidate would be. And they'd also...
Well, that's what you have. But I tell you one thing. Trump is a man. He is a man. He's a bold man.
Tell me about it.
He's more so than I ever seen, other than my grandfather.
So what are you trying to say, that he's strong and he won't back down?
He's not going to back down. They tried to do everything to him. Mm-hmm. And 9 out of 10 of the things, they was illegal. He's not a felon. Have no judge accepted the verdict. Judges have to accept that verdict or they can change it.
Well, he's still viable. He hasn't been crucified yet. He's still in the game. So nobody should discount him.
Well, maybe God kissed him on the cheek to make him turn his head. You don't know.
Yeah, yep, that's true. That's what a lot of people are saying. I mean, after everything that man's been through and he's still standing, literally, is amazing. I mean, you have to wonder if there is some divine intervention, you know.
See, they tried to take advantage of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was surprised as hell he won in this 2016 election, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, you got a man who's got good business sense to lead the country, but he did not have a working understanding of the swamp. Those that's there on civil service, and you've seen that even Republicans was against, and Mike Pence, who in the hell would ever thought that he turned out to be like he turned out to be, is innocent looking as he looks.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about, I mean, he doesn't have to run for president. There's nothing compelling him other than his love of country. I mean, after everything he's been through, nobody would fault him for just walking away after his 2016 term and going to go live his life. But he chose not to, and he's battling, but he keeps staying in the game because he knows how important it is. And, you know, losing money, losing his companies, losing his property, you know, of course, he knows that those things will be overturned, but just the process that he's been having to go through, you know, to make that happen as far as get those things back. But it's just incredible to me that all the hate for this man, they don't know.
Is that your dogs?
And I attribute that to the rhetoric on mainstream media and from congressional Democrats. I'm not talking about, you know, he deserved to be smacked or he should have slapped him or, you know, take him behind the barn and beat him up. And it's like, what did he ever do to you? What did he do to you that hurt you
They can't
so bad
answer the
that
question.
you hate this man?
They can't answer the question about his policy. That's the best
I know.
policy that I've ever heard a candidate for that position ever come up with. That's the reason I voted for him. His policies. I don't care about all those innuendos, all those claims and allegations about gold and shit. I don't care about that. I care about the policies. It's the policies that put money in my bank account. It's the policies that help me to plan for my children's education. So that's what I'm concerned about. Trade agreements. We shouldn't be succumbing to no free trade. It should be fair trade.
Yes, but you have a brain. See, but these others and these youngsters, they just want to have something to complain about, something that's bigger than them that they can be a part of. And so, you know, when they hear this, as far as Trump's a felon, he's incapable of being president, should be out of the game, he's Hitler, he's this, he's that, you know, and they start to believe it. And because they're inundated with it, and day after day. And so, you know, some of them think there was that one attempted assassin from the man in UK that had come over here, and he was in his 20s and attempted to kill President Trump up on stage. And what ended up happening with him is they sent him back to the UK. They, you know, as far as any jail time or anything like that, no. And they sent him back to the UK. They deported him. And so I thought that was pretty interesting as far as an attempted assassin on a sitting president, that he would do that. And he went to the psych ward for a little bit, and then they deported him. And that was the end of that. And very little people heard about that story, but there was a documentary on it that favored the kid that made that attempt.
There was a Latino group that crawled over the White House fence when Obama was in office. And
what happened to those people? We don't know.
I have no idea. I just know that they tried.
Exactly. You know, the people have a right to know what happens to these people that attempt to assassinate presidents, no matter who they are.
Or whatever happened to Obama's cook, the chef.
Yep. That story got swept into the
What?
Yeah, the mother said she wanted answers. You don't hear nothing about that.
I don't know about Obama's cook. Could you tell me?
Oh, you didn't
I'm
hear?
gonna shoot Don. I'm gonna shoot him. Just a minute. Can you guys keep talking while I text him?
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Junkie.
Well, no, I tell you, the chef was having a relationship with Michelle. That's what happened there.
Oh, but they never heard of the story about
Yeah.
the chef, so that's what I'm saying.
Just can you wait a second?
What happened?
He was supposed to have drowned in a pool where the water is chest high. That's what happened to him.
Okay, start over. Someone thought it was Michelle Obama's lover?
I'm saying that he was Michelle Obama's lover.
Why?
He was
Because
a cook.
was he a
He
hot
served her in bed.
Latino? Was he a hot Latino?
No, he's a black man.
Now, why do you
No,
think?
but-
Why do you think that?
Because that's what women and men do. He served her in bed, go up to the bed and a roll flop open. As he put the tray there all over her lap. What if she spilled some orange juice on herself? He gonna take the towel and wipe it up.
You're a terrible little creature.
That's not terrible. That's what human beings do.
So why do you think she bonked the cook? Why didn't she make love to James
Because
Comey?
he's a young, muscular young man. Barack Obama is skinny, frail, and he smoked. He don't have no third and fourth wind to handle Michelle.
Well, I think
Barack Obama found his banana hammock.
I like skinny tall men like Kobe and Barack Obama.
Well, you not know Michelle Obama.
Why? Because I'm not like, I don't have jungle fever. I'm not like Prowl.
I don't know what you got, but you're not her. So that's what I think went down. You had the man killed.
It was kind of like when the Clintons were in office and that one young Washington, D.C. guy got killed that had some kind of inside information. He was from Nebraska.
Might have, I don't know.
I can't remember. I can't look anything up because you guys are occupying my phone, and if I change screens on YouTube, then no one can hear us.
No. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and
It's Seth. I know who. Seth Rich.
That's another one. Yep.
Well,
I
okay.
was talking about when the Clintons were, Bill was, what do you call it, a governor of
Yes.
Arkansas. And that guy turned up that was apparently close to Hillary and worked for the campaign and all that, but he turned up suicide with 2 bullets in his head. So.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones
Yep.
in the Clinton trail of years.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm still a Bill Clinton supporter, so don't get too hairy.
Yeah.
Seth Rich was a political operative in Washington, and I think that he found out some wrong information and he died, and everybody was suspicious about it.
Yeah, well, it was because the Clinton campaign made claims that they were their computers at the DNC were hacked by the Russians. But that whole thing was a debacle as far as the DNC had got in touch with CrowdStrike to supposedly look into it when those computers should have been looked at by the FBI because they called the FBI and said our computers were hacked. And the FBI was like, all right, well, we need your server so that we can look into it. And they said, we already had it looked into and we had our servers swiped. And so the FBI could not look into it and then just let it lay at that. And they trusted CrowdStrike that said it was Russians. They had a backdoor into the DNC. And then Comey testified. It was a big old debacle for me. But that was the information that he had as far as no, the Russians did not hack and basically giving up information that was happening on the Clinton campaign. And some of that stuff is coming out just barely now. You can find information as far as, I forget who it was that talked about the story anyway. They came clean, or tried to anyway. But as far as Barack Obama goes, when somebody had reported they found this young man floating, in their lake, the Obamas claimed that they weren't there that weekend. They hadn't been there all weekend. Turns out that they were. So why would they say that they weren't?
Was that the cook?
Yes.
Okay,
they were.
Was that in California?
No,
in Florida. Down there at
Well, why didn't they just send him? Why didn't they give him $50,000 to go get a better job? Like, they didn't have to kill the guy.
I know.
Probably knew something. He probably knew something.
I'm thinking you're right with that.
I mean, people say that Michelle's a hermaphrodite. Well, he would have known.
Well, she had 2 babies.
I don't mean none. Hermaphrodites can have babies.
I don't think that would have been necessarily an issue as far as if that got out. I think there would have been something more, especially because he was their chef for so long. I mean, the man didn't know how to swim, then he took swimming lessons, and he knew how to swim, and he posted all that on Facebook, that he knew how to swim. But somehow he drowned in waist deep water near the bank. The lake.
That's too bad.
How does that happen?
Well, I'm going to look it up after I hang up with y'all. Now, I had to tell Don to call back another time because there was some clunky background noise, and he's in the middle of a, bumpy, like an active conference with lots of people. And I don't like when he calls in unless he's in his own house. So I voted him off the island.
And these politicians, what they do is peddle off the United States. That's why come federal elected congressmen and U.S. senators should be paid by the state that elect them. Then they have more transparency of their income. But now the way it is, when they go to Washington, D.C., you have no way to know.
So overall, as a nation, we have one president who has major physical setbacks. We have another president, even though Trump was victorious in the situation and got his ear grazed, he's still privately probably shook up. What's going to happen next?
It shouldn't have no concern over Joe Biden's age or his mental condition. What should be concerned with any elected official that you're supporting is their policy. It's their policies. It's their policies. If you ask any idiot who say that they hate Trump, then ask them, what policies of his do you not like? They can't tell you.
I told you I didn't like his how he's against NATO and the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement, and that he's America first and I'm not an isolationist.
How did the TPP affect you?
I just think that we live in a global universe and that we should have more cooperation.
The globalness that we live in is that the United States should establish preeminence when it comes down to trade, innovations, and manufacturing and economy. That is the globalist. We should also always maintain that. Though we've given it away, and you got politicians that like to peddle it off. There's nothing wrong with setting trade that's going to be beneficial to your own U.S. manufacturers and producers.
Well, Germany has been able to pull off a top-notch economy while at the same time taking in 1 million Syrians. But
That's Germany.
I feel like
Germany. I'm talking about the United States.
I don't think America's number one anymore.
America, everybody wants to sell to America.
I'm just saying we're not number one anymore. Somewhere along the line we messed up.
Everybody wants to sell to the United States. Now, are we waning? Yes, you're absolutely right. Because we have a dumb population. Your educational system is terrible. You don't put enough money into research for innovation, and research for technological marvels. The next frontier is up there in that sky that we look at every night. It's space.
Well, we do have a dumb population, and by the time people finish high school, most of them are not proficient in science or math or English.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And that's a travesty. NAACP is meeting talking about reparations and all that foolishness and DEI rather than your kids are not educated. Black kids, too many of them, is not being educated.
Well, Don and Pat have educated kids. One of them is a lawyer.
Look, you got about 11 million, 12 million black kids in their school age here in the United States. When they graduate from high school, they can't hardly maintain their way into any college, let alone elite college. And they can't holler racism. You got Africans that come here just as black as Isaac Hayes and Wesley Snipes. They don't have no problems.
Yeah, I have 2 African friends who have moved up the economic ranks, and they've been in Duluth for 5 years.
And going back to trade, as far as that goes, and Bianchi had mentioned as far as politicians, basically selling out the country, to make these trade deals. And then we have the WHO sniffing around and the UN sniffing around, a bunch of NGOs, wanting to get us signed aboard, which Trump had taken us out of, but we got put back in as soon as Biden took over. And so with that, we're having rules that are made for the United States regarding our health care, regarding climate change, money, sustainability, all this business. And we're giving them billions of dollars to all these different things, these aspects, Paris Accord, all these things that we were removed from, we got put back into. And those things are costing us money. And also, we are no longer a democracy, which we never were, but we're far from being a republic because the representatives in Congress are supposed to represent us. And these people that are making the rules outside of the United States that we were sold to, they're unelected by us, but they're making rules for us. And so, yeah, the trade policies that have taken place is just like, not good, not right.
The only way we could control Congress is through the states. Your state legislature has the power to control Congress. The states have the power to say, no, we are not going to do it. It's nothing. And another point. Just look at who your congressional representation is. Who elects them? They are elected in a district that consists of members, residents, who also elect your state legislature. One congressional district probably consists of several or more state districts. And it's the people in that state district that has the control over that congressperson. You can call he or she to the floor and read them the riot act. You can get rid of he or she at your will.
Ilhan Omar she got elected out of the biggest Jewish district in Minnesota.
Well, here's the thing. There's no such thing. Are they religious Jews?
Yes, the religious Jews that belong to a temple.
Well, so what Baptist district voted for her?
It's actually wealthy Jews. Like, it's the same neighborhood that Ethan Cohen and his brother, the famous movie makers, are from.
Yeah, well, they Americans. That's what they are. Why do you identify somebody by their religious affiliation?
I'm just telling you what the papers report.
And the papers are wrong. Two of your worst enemies of the United States is the federal government and the news media.
Well, I haven't seen too much spin on this Trump shooting, but The only spin I've seen on is the Americans on Instagram who are making what they think are humorous remarks about him.
That's because they damn fools.
There was a meme of Hillary Clinton saying, "What do you mean he missed?" And she was in the back of the room with her jaw dropped. Like, what do you mean that he missed?
We just got through talking earlier about this of them being associated with people getting killed and disappearing. I wouldn't doubt it. That's all the more reason why come Americans should wear their guns. They should have a month of wear your gun advocacy.
I guess in Minnesota is a conceal and carry state too, I found out.
It should be open carry too. Open carry is constitutionally protected.
And the main thing we kill up here are pheasants, ducks, and deer.
Well, yeah, that's okay if that's what they want to use them for. They can use them for just to put them in a case and polish them up and rub them down with a rag every now and then if that's what they wish to do. But you should wear your gun. You know, you had an incident at a supermarket parking lot where one individual shot 11 people. Well, you mean to tell me that none of those people or any other spectators have guns?
Where was that?
I think it was up around your way, if I'm not mistaken.
We're Scandinavian and we don't believe in carrying guns.
Yeah, but that's why come people that want to shoot Scandinavians head up that way because they know they want to get shot back at.
I don't know what to say. I know there were 3 cops killed in a Burnsville, Minnesota suburb just south of Minneapolis by a guy who went crazy.
Are you talking about the one in Buffalo?
No, and it was Burnsville, Minnesota. He had emotional problems. His kids were in the house, and the cops came because of a domestic incident with his girlfriend. And when the cops got there, it was like 1 sheriff and 2 Burnsville police. It's just right in the Minneapolis suburb. And all 3 of them got killed by him, the one that kind of like got emotional and goofy because he was in a weird fight with his girlfriend.
Well, sad to say, those things do happen.
And Minnesota's one of the most prevalent police departments in the country that has changed most of their Minneapolis Police Department to community policing now. And the Department of Human Services is now in charge of our police.
Well, it still don't do you no good.
I know it's going to weaken the police.
Yeah, absolutely. Chauvin shouldn't have been put in jail. The evidence that wasn't allowed to be presented at the trial, that evidence would have showed that he did not do what they convicted him of.
I know that because there's a new documentary out called The Fall of Minneapolis, and it shows that he had the knee on the shoulder blade, not the vein in his neck, and that he followed the manual. And by the way, did you know since he's been transferred to Arizona that he got stabbed like 15 times? I think it was between 15 and 50 times by another inmate, and he lived.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, he got stabbed multiple times. Like it was a huge number, and he still lived. And the only person that really loves him is his mother.
He went to court, and the judge, of course, on appeal of one area or another, and they wouldn't listen to it. The jury should have been sequestered. How are you going to have a jury that go home and they have the influence of the news, the influence of the neighborhood, the influence of biasness, and then they're going to go to the court and look over evidence and come up with a fair verdict? That just does not happen.
Well, also, there was lots of stuff that happened. If you watch the 1-hour documentary, it shows how Jacob Fry, the mayor, he let the 3rd precinct burn by the townspeople. Like they didn't even try to save it. He allowed it. And how many bad decisions were made regarding the whole thing. and how the police were not protected at all during the high part of the rioting.
Well, that's why come you don't have people, good people want to be police. Let them people in that community police their own area and see how long that lasts.
I agree. So I'm gonna contact BTR. I'm gonna complain about the service again, and if it's up and running by Tuesday, I'm probably gonna have a follow-up show this week in the middle of the RNC conference.
That's good.
And Milwaukee is not a safe community.
I don't think it is either. Susan, do you wear your gun?
No, I do not. I don't. I have it, but I don't walk, so I'm paralyzed. I stay home every day, all day. So I don't
Remember,
go
she
anywhere
became paralyzed. Bianchi, remember she became paralyzed.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I
No.
told you once, but I don't know. You must have forgotten.
It was 2 years ago, or close to 3 now. But anyway, otherwise, yes, that would be
Well,
a thing that I would do.
you can wish anyway, because them fools don't care if you're paralyzed or if you're a half-old person. They still do the things they do.
Mhm. Well, that's why the front door is locked, and if they even think about getting past that, then well, you know.
Suzette,
They have to be in the house, though. They have to be in the house before I do anything, because if they're outside just climbing in the window and I decide to take care of them, then I go to jail. They have to be in the house.
Don't shoot for the finger. Shoot for the ear.
Shoot for the left. Shoot for the left Van Gogh ear.
Yeah. That's another thing. How these prosecutors and district attorneys go after the good Samaritan.
Oh, that too.
Yeah. And they go after the victim for protecting his or her safety. That's another problem. So things are just completely messed up nowadays.
Guess
And I think the ultimate is going to be that you're going to have states that's going to draw lines around their borders. Some may even secede. We had a community here in Baton Rouge that seceded from Baton Rouge. St. John's formed their own city.
you told us about that. There was a question on the internet this week. Should Texas be able to protect its own boundaries from Mexico?
You're damn right they should.
Yeah, no,
And then
I want to
know,
tell you one more thing. Guess what else somebody wrote on Instagram? They shot Trump in the ear, the one that he never uses to listen.
Is it on the internet?
It was on Instagram under a comment.
well, people like to make jokes. Say, was Martin Luther King shot? Ask them that. I say, well, I don't believe Martin Luther King was shot.
They think he's alive somewhere?
They think that what you saw with Trump was staged.
Yeah,
If
and
you want to go biblical, then what Jesus, who moved that rock? I mean, we can throw out some asinine questions.
it was
right
me.
back at it.
I moved the rock. I've lived 19 centuries.
But what I'm talking about is people ask these asinine questions, call themselves making jokes, but throw them right back at them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to get kicked off of Instagram. I just read what people say.
Well, it's funny they don't get kicked off when they ask you questions like that.
I just read the comments. And
Yeah.
and tonight I wrote that Milwaukee's been an impoverished city for over 40 years because Tommy Thompson eliminated welfare during Bill Clinton's time. And that city is a volatile city too. Remember what happened in Kenosha with Kyle Rittenhouse? Like, yeah, I don't think that was the right city to put the RNC in. Republican National Convention.
Y'all have him as a speaker.
And Trump said that Milwaukee's ghetto and he's staying in Chicago.
But
He's staying at one of his own Trump hotels.
he had 25 years on the 4th of July. He had about 120 people shot and about 20 killed in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I got your video clip.
Just this past weekend, which includes today, what I read, you had at least 20 shot and about 11 killed. And these are blacks on black. Nobody talks about this stuff.
Well, I don't think it's that safe for Trump in Chicago either. He should stay. He should stay in Lake Geneva. It's an old resort town not far from Milwaukee. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna end the show now.
Okay.
It's 80.
Everyone be safe.
Suzette, I want your PayPal because I want to make a donation sometime to your medical stuff. Okay.
Actually, I don't have a active PayPal.
Oh, what do you have?
We have, I have Venmo. We just opened one account we put it under my husband's name.
Okay, I don't have Venmo, but maybe I'll add it. All right, thank you for joining us, guys, and let's see what happens in the next few days. I appreciate it. Okay, good night.
All right,
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.